Okay, so in terms of so how we run this, we have about an hour or maybe a bit less now because we're running a bit behind. So I have just a couple of questions, and then I think there's one or two questions maybe from students, and then we just open up for general Q&A. Okay, so that's how we're going to run this. All right. So my first question would basically be just for you to explain a bit. I mean, obviously you've become a football manager now, but before that you were a professional football player as well. So at what time in your career, at what stage in your career did you realize that this is something that you would like to do or that you might be good at as well?
So first of all, hi. I'm really pleased to be here. I did this Q&A sometimes in Austria, so in my German language, but first time here in England, and I really like to be here. And it's a good question. So I never planned to become a manager afterwards. So when I was a professional player for 19 years, and next to playing football, I also studied economics, and I graduated when I was 31, but I played until 37, and I didn't start with a coaching, coaching education. Because I thought, you don't study for 7 years. It took me 7 years, besides playing football, to graduate and then becoming a football manager. But at that time, so I was not that young anymore, we already had 2 children, my wife and me, and it was always in Austria, when you play football, the season ends at the beginning of December. So now they play a little bit longer, but at that time, there's a lot of snow, cold weather. So it ended, and then we always went on holidays for 2 weeks, and we couldn't do it anymore because our oldest son had to go to school. And at that time, there was a coaching program offered, and I said to my wife, I don't think that I take part, and she said, Oliver, we can't go on holiday now in December. I think you're always bored when you are at home, so maybe you go there. I said, okay, you're right, in December I'm always at home the whole day. And then I said, okay, I take part. And today she says it was her biggest mistake. She convinced me to do this because I'm not really at home for many times. But then I started there, and I said, oh, it makes fun. And then I started coaching under 9-year-old in my village team, because my oldest son was playing there. And we started, I think, with 10 or 11 boys and 1 girl. And then after 2 months, there were, I think, 25. And I said, wow, it really makes fun. And so it started. And so many of my managers said, Oliver, I think you should become a manager, but yeah. And then, after I retired with almost 38, I had my first thoughts again. I said, okay, I would like to combine being a professional football player and having studied economics. And so I worked for 6 months in the office as a sporting coordinator at Red Bull Salzburg. And after 6 months, I said, I miss the pitch, and it's not, I don't want to sit the whole day in the office and always phone. And at that time, Salzburg was looking for an assistant manager, and all of a sudden I was assistant manager, and my career started. So, but was not planned, but sometimes, no, not sometimes. So in my life, most of the things that happened, was really looks like a coincidence.
Yeah, I think that's how, in many cases, life works. I mean, you just kind of, there's an accident and then it happens. So then you're on a certain career path. Yeah. So you already mentioned that you started coaching young children or kids, and then obviously you moved on to Austria and Germany, and now the Premier League, obviously. So how did you sort of try to develop your leadership style or your leadership skills over the course of such a career, and obviously in very different environments?
I started when I was a player, so I got a man known. He was working for, if you say, developing personality. And at the time, I think I was 23, 24, and we started, at the beginning it was let's say, a business relationship. Now we are friends after 26 years now. In 1998 we met, and he's now 76, so he's a really a great guy. And then was interesting, one of his first questions he asked me, and this is the question I would like to ask, is he asked me, Oliver, what do you think is most important for a teacher? So what do you think is the most important, or one of the most important skills for a teacher?
Like the leadership style, the way they interact with the student, maybe?
Yeah.
Confidence.
Confidence.
Understanding and compromise.
Understanding. I think I answered the same. Yeah.
Being able to listen.
Yeah, important.
Patience.
Patience.
That they're happy.
Yes, but everything, I think I said all the same. And then let's say maybe one level, not deeper, so easier. And he said to me, Oliver, the most important thing is that you like and love children, because you have to work with them every day. And the most important thing for a manager is that you like and love people, humans, because you work with humans. And this is, I have in my mind, and this is, that every human, every individual is worth to talk to, is worth to listen to, is worth that you see everybody, because this is what we all, appreciation, and what we all, everybody, and this is regardless, old, young, which culture, which country, which religion, everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody, and if you say, okay, I don't mind, I don't care about this, about the children, about the people, they feel it, yeah? And then it's very difficult, because what you want when you, let's say, when you lead a group, when you say leadership, is that not you always have to pull them, come on, follow me, so that you walk a common pathway all together, yeah? And then it's important that they want to follow you, that they want to go this pathway. And this is, and therefore, you have to show them that everybody is important for you, and therefore you have to like him. And so this was how we started in 1998, and now I think we have a call, I don't know, every week, once or twice, talking about different situations and everything. So, but this was, for me, let's say this is the headline about leadership, is that you have to like people.
So one thing, obviously, being in this leadership position and managing a big football club, is obviously, I can imagine that it's quite difficult to confess that you may also have gaps in your knowledge, or that you are might be difficult to show vulnerability as well. So how do you kind of manage this kind of tension to be sort of this, I think you mentioned confidence, right? So you have to, that's kind of what we expect, right? So leaders have to be confident, they need to know which path to follow, basically. But then sometimes there may be, times where you also don't quite know, maybe. So how do you mention this tension? And are there maybe people that you draw on for advice or for feedback, or also just empathy, kind of that they can sort of understand what you're going through, for example?
Oh yes, one of these guys is the one I mentioned. So when it's really tough, I always call him. But also for me, it's good for me to talk to my family. So that helps I have something, for me it's when you have, this is what I tell the players, if let's say when you have tough times, it's important that you do something what's good for yourself. You understand? It's, for me, it's the same, let's say, when you have psychological problems, what many are doing, they go into your room, close the door, blinds down, and no, you have to do the opposite, go out. Sometimes I tell the players, come on, and it's a nice weather, and we have a nice weather now in autumn in London for many weeks. Come on, take your girlfriends, your friends, whatever, go out, drink a coffee in the afternoon, so that you get into a good mood again. And this is also what I try. Then sometimes, you know, it's not then working more and more effort and more effort. So I think then sometimes it's also, you know, creativity needs space. Yeah? And when you want to find ideas, you need space for it. And when you're always sitting in your office, and then sometimes it doesn't work anymore. And then I say, okay, let's go home, let's play paddle tennis, or sometimes I go 1 hour on the driving range, golf. And then because then you don't think about it, and then it's easier to find the solution, to find the words, but the right words. But yeah, to be honest, it's not always that easy, of course. But so for me, it's the only or the best way to get this turnaround, yeah, from being in a tough and a bad situation and get out of it.
Is there any particular type of advice that you've gotten throughout your career that was really impactful and that you kind of think about, you know, repeatedly, or like a headline? I mean, you mentioned this. Is there something that stands out for you?
Yes, I have one, and this comes from the team manager where I was playing, and he was a teacher very long, and it's in German. It's called Nipsild. So in German, and translated, it means don't think in problems, think in solutions. And this is what for me, because and then always when you always think about the problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then there is a moment you think, come on, such a big problem, but you forget maybe the solution is here. When I managed Frankfurt, we had also with periods where we didn't play that well, didn't have the results, and then because always great guys, very ambitious guys, everybody in the stuff, and then we are doing more, and I had a picture. I told them that, you know, it's, let's say you want to go out there through this door, yeah, but it's closed. And then you go and you knock your head. And then, no, come on, I have to go out there. This is the way. And you go the same way, and you hit and hit and hit, and then it hurts. Yeah? And you know, sometimes you just see the problem. This door is closed. You know, come on. And maybe this door is open. Yeah? But you just see the problem, the closed door, and you don't see that the solution is here. Why? Going through this door when it's closed and this door is open. Yeah? And this sometimes happens if you just always focus on the problem and then you don't find the solution. Sometimes they are not so difficult. They are maybe here next to you, but you don't see it because you just look at the problem. And so this was really such a great advice I got. And I always, it's the same, it's easy to talk about it, yeah, but it's also, I think sometimes we make the problems bigger than they are. And then and then it's much more difficult to solve it.
So before we started, we kind of chatted already a little bit about this aspect of, you know, how to manage diverse teams, right, from different cultures, different, different country backgrounds, maybe different religious backgrounds. So how do you manage that? How do you manage a diverse team, and how do you manage different personalities maybe as well? And how maybe follow up how easy it is for, I mean, well, some features, I guess, are easy to understand of someone, but sometimes the personalities, might take you some time to figure out how to lead one particular person, right? So how do you manage this?
First of all, you have to know your colleagues, your players in my situation, your staff. So we have about we have 25 players, and we have the same amount of staff with analysts, with coaches, with the medical department, everything. So, and you have to know everyone and to understand him, that you know the background. And for me, always, I arrived here mid of February, and the first time is always listening, talking, asking, Then you get informations, not just talking, yes, showing them. For me, the first meeting was, okay, let's say there are some non-negotiables, is how we treat each other. It's always for me, let's have two words, is respect and trust. Yeah, and then is is again asking and to understand somebody, you have to know where he comes from, how is your personal situation, and this is sometimes it's strange for players, and also that they open, yeah. But also when they get the confidence, the trust that it's not against them. For example, we ask the players how they slept the night before, yeah? And then why do you want to know it? And for example, we have a player who has 2 small children, and if you have small children, you know when they get their teeth, maybe they don't sleep in the night, and this is when he maybe was sleeping just 3 or 4 hours. So this can have an impact in the training, can have an impact on getting injured. So we want just to know, and sometimes then I also said sometimes to players, okay, 2 children, his 2 children, they were sick. I said, okay, stay at home. Yeah, I said, no, it's not. It's important. Take care of your family, and because yes, you can be here physically, but if you're not here mentally because of all the troubles and then it just makes no sense. So we don't have get a good quality in training, and then what's my experience is when they come the next day, they. Let's say that they feel a little bit guilty, and okay, I could have off, but now I have to show, to perform my best. I give my best, and everything. So it's always, but you have to know them, and then for me, this is how I started. Also, to be honest, it was not always the same, but I started many years ago, always to see, this glass. I can say, oh shit, it gets. I don't have a lot to drink because it's half empty, but I always see, I have still something to drink. There's enough water here. So I always try to see the positive things. So first of all, life is much better. If you don't, otherwise you always have problems, and first, this is the same, what I was thinking about it many years. So what do I want in my life? We all, I think, we want to have a good life, feeling well, having friends, having a family, having a nice job, but all over just enjoy. Yeah? Enjoy your days. That doesn't mean that it's always, there are problems, sometimes it's tough, sometimes it looks easy, but at the end, I just want to have a great life. Yeah? And therefore, I always see which chances we have, which opportunities we have, and if you have different cultures in Frankfurt here, it's a bit easier. We don't have so many in Frankfurt. We had 16 different nations, and every nation, every culture has its strengths. Yeah? It's quality that helps you in a team to perform better. The challenge is that you get this all combined, all the strengths. But it's the same. How can I expect? And what we want is that every single individual shows his best performance. And therefore, and this is so a message I always tell them is, everybody has to be himself. You just can express yourself. If I say you can be who you are and how you are, I can say, hey, I want that you are like he is. And then you think, hey, come on, if you say to me, Oliver, you should be a great singer and dancer, I would fail because I'm terrible in singing and I'm much more terrible in dancing. So, and if somebody wants this from me, you will never get the best Oliver Glasner. And this is what I want, the best from everybody, and therefore he has to be how he is. Yes, he has to integrate in the team. That's what I mean. There are some non-negotiables. But within these barriers, he can be who he is and how he is. And also what I experienced, especially in the last years, is that all the players, they are, I think because of this, especially social media, they're very, everybody knows everything. So sometimes they are responsible for this because they post everything. But on the other side is they are looking for a place where they feel protected. And this is what we can give them in our training ground, that there they can be who they are. Yeah? And they don't have to, I don't know, show themselves in their best clothes or whatever. It's not important. Yeah? It's not important when you're under the shower with your 6 teammates. It's not important. Yeah? And where we are on the pitch and we have an exercise, it's not important. So then be who you are. And this is, I think for me, it's the most important thing to have a good life. And we are living in a country here, and I'm from Austria and Europe, and that we have this big opportunity and this big value that everybody can be who he is and how he is. And I think this is one of the best things we can have.
So you mentioned analysts just now in your answer. So obviously, football has become even more, professionalized in that sense from a, data standpoint. But then there's also this, probably there's also still value in kind of this, gut feeling, I guess. So how do you think about those two extremes, if you will, or how do you try to reconcile those two approaches in your own practice?
It's the same. We try to combine it in the best way. We have all the data from every training, all the physical data from every player. We get from our game. We get everything. Just the physical data. We get every passing accuracy, and we get it from the opposite teams, how they concede goals, how they score goals, and. So we get a lot of informations. And we use this, of course. For example, I think this was the most, it's very clear when I managed Frankfurt, we played a team. They didn't lose in the German Bundesliga for 14 games, but they had 2 games in the Europa League at that time, and they lost both. And then I said to my analysts, okay, why? Because I think those teams they lost against, they were weaker. And then it was, in all these 14 games in the German Bundesliga, they had less possession. This was a team playing for counterattacks and transitions. And in the 2 games in the Europa League, they had more possession than the opposite teams. And then I said, okay, so let's say, in an easy way, let's give them the ball. If all the others who tried to win it by possession failed, so why should we be the first one? Let's do it the opposite. And we had a home game, and we let them a little bit play in the areas where we allowed them to play, and twice we won the ball and scored 2 goals, and we were winning 2-0. And this was, let's say, from the data, we got the information, and then it is also, because everybody we were let's say, the bigger team, in a home game, everybody awaits that we make pressure, and then it's the second is, and this I think is, again, now we come back, is what you can't get from the data is you have to convince the players that they also want to do it, because this is one of my first messages. So everything what's in my mind or in the mind of my staff is not important if it's not in your mind. So if I think that's important and you think that's nonsense, it's nonsense, yeah, for the group. And that's why always, okay, we have to convince the players that what we tell them helps us to win a game. And as soon as they feel this, let's say you win them, yeah? And then you win the group. And but for me, it's always it doesn't work anymore to tell everybody you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do that, and that, and that. It's okay. If you do this, is the best for the team, and we always try to show them their personal benefit, because it's the same. All the let's say the strikers, what do they want? They want to score goals, yeah? But when they have to work for defense, this is what they don't really like. But if you show them, it helps us to win a game, and at the end, it helps you to score more goals. They do it. If they have, I had a player. But also, it's not just waiting that they like to do it. I had a player, one of my first stations in Austria, was a striker, was our star player. And then he came, I can't run so much. If I have to run so much in defense, I can't score goals. And I said, if you don't do it, you don't play. And then this was non-negotiable. Yeah? So, and it was the opposite at the end. Then I showed him situations, so not to go too much into detail, is that even when he runs, when the opposite team has the ball, he already is in a good situation when we win the ball for scoring a goal. And this we showed him in 3, 4, 5 clips. And then he realized, it's also good for me. And then all of a sudden, he could run for the team.
So, another thing that I'm really interested in is sort of how do you manage the extreme highs and lows of the job, right? So, I mean, obviously you won the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt. You had an amazing start at, Crystal Palace, how you ended the, last year's campaign. So lots of, extreme highs, but then obviously there's also sort of the everyday, and then there are the lows as well. So how do you manage that professionally, but also, privately? Like, does it affect you a lot, or? Yeah.
I can't manage it, that it doesn't affect me privately. So it's when and this is maybe also an advice what I always like to give every student. Or I have 3 children, daughter is 14, and one son was 19, and one was 22. The oldest one is also studying economics in Vienna. And the advice I give them, and I always give people, is try to find the job let's say you love, or you have the passion for. So this is the most important. For example, my son in Austria, how you say, matura, when you graduated? Yeah, with 18. And then he was, okay, I go to university. I said, what do you want to study? Where do I earn most of the money afterwards? I said, no, it's the wrong way. Try to find what you like to do, and then you will earn enough money. So money should come, But if you always have to go, oh shit, I have to go to my job. And I always go from, let's say, 8 in the morning to between 6 and 8 in the evening. And if it wouldn't be my passion, if it wouldn't be that I like to do it, I like to think about the people, I like to talk to the people, preparing a game, and if I wouldn't love this, if I wouldn't do it. Yeah? And I think I couldn't do it in the best way. And so I think this is the most important thing. And then it means on the other side, it's a 24/7 job. So I can't say, so I had also, when we had a really bad start here with Palace this year, and then there was an international break, I went home, and because my family still lives in Austria, and visited them, and then my wife said, Oliver, you are here, but you are not here. So physically I was there, but mentally I wasn't there, because I was thinking we had a big meeting after these days off. I always prepared, what do I tell them, should I do this, and then I was always thinking, I was not here. And so that's part of it, but I try in both ways not to fly here, but also not to be under the floor if we lose a game. So I try to find a mix, because let's say, first of all, that's life. I think no one has a life where it's just ups. So always there are downs. And in football, it's like you have like I don't know how you say, like everything is accelerated. You have it. Sometimes I say in a game, you marry and get divorced 3 times. Being always when you marry is one of your ups, and when you get divorced. So I didn't get divorced. I've never. I hope I never get divorced, but I know some guys and women. So then they are down. And in a football game, when you score a goal, is marriage, and this is, let's say, the typical football. And if you always follow those ups and downs, you can get crazy. So to be honest, so try, and it's the same. If we win 3 times, you won't see me running through London. I'm the best in the world. Wow, I'm the best. But on the other side, don't expect when we lose 3 times that I don't go to London and I don't know, having a beer somewhere in a pub.
And I want to go to the student questions momentarily, but maybe just 1 or 2 more. So what I always find very impressive is, I mean, after the game, you have to do those interviews, obviously, and I can imagine that you must be very, worked up after, a very emotional game that, you either just, won or lost, or maybe there was a draw. So how do you, try to kind of stay calm and sort of see the big picture within, 5 minutes after the whistle? Do you have any particular routine that you do? Like, how do you try to step back and see the bigger picture 5 minutes after the game?
Yeah, it's first of all, we have Janice here. She always briefs me in the best way. And we have, when it's a live game, we have 20 minutes and otherwise 40, I think. So it's always taking a little bit of time. And now I'm still, I made many mistakes when I started there because I was emotional and I always spoke out of my emotions. And this is, now I'm a little bit more experienced. I try, always it's the same, let's say 99% to protect the players and not to blame anybody, because this is what's really tough for them, if they hear that you blame them for a conceded goal. And it's not just the player, you always have to understand his surrounding, and there he has a wife or a girlfriend, he has children, he has parents, he has friends. And when it's then, when you imagine, and then they call him, come on, what is your manager talking? You get 10 calls, and afterwards you believe it, and you think, come on, why is he blaming me? It was not me. So then you create a problem. So I try to be very analytical. I think in most of the times I'm successful, not always. But on the other side, I think that's the same. So I don't want to make mistakes, but I make mistakes, and I make many mistakes, and this is also what every player can do. I want them. If I want that they can be themselves, that they make mistakes, and they can't be worried about making mistakes. If somebody believes this is how we learn, I'm thinking a lot how we learn. Learning is, I said, no one of us could ride a bike if our parents, when you start riding a bike, you fall. If your parents say, come on, you will never learn biking. You're stupid, come on, but forget this. You wouldn't. What are they doing? Come on, they encourage you, so they help you. You give them your hands, support them, and all of a sudden they can do it. It's the same with running. Yeah? So you need to fail to learn from it. Yeah? And if you think you are perfect from the first day, or you expect from yourself to be perfect the first day, you will never be successful. I think you need this experience to learn from it, and this is the same. I made many mistakes. I hope I learn from most of them, and that helps me to be more calm in interviews now. But I also had some, once my wife said, Oliver, I'm married for 29, or together with my wife for 29 years, so she knows me quite well. And she said, Oliver, that was not you. I heard your interview, that was not you. I don't know you like this. But this is all the emotions, all the stress, the pressure made. And so I try to learn from it and to be more calm.
Okay, great. So I think we have one or two student questions. So I will just, Sakshi wanted to ask a question.
Sorry,
She wasn't able to attend. Okay. Sure.
But also everyone, if it's...
Yeah, then after that we open up to...
Okay, afterward, okay.
In a team filled with high performers acting in high-pressure situations, how do you foster environments that allow them to thrive healthily?
But to create the environment?
In a team filled with high performers acting in high-pressure situations, how do you foster environments that allow them to thrive healthily?
I think that's what I told now the whole time. Is for me is this to create this environment where everybody enjoys to come in the morning. So and this for this you have to be first of all you have to be yourself. You can talk to everybody, and then mistakes are allowed. You don't have to be. Of course, you can't make them every day, because there will be a point when you don't play. but it's to create an environment where everybody feels well, everybody feels understand, but on the other side also we demand it's not how I say it's it's not the flowers are flying everywhere and it's so nice and we're hugging us just the entire day. It's also that we demand a lot from each other, and this is what I demand from the players. Is quite simple: is give your best. Give your best every day. That doesn't mean that the performance is always your best, because we are human, yeah? We have ups and downs, but I expect everybody gives his best. Everybody is open-minded for new ideas. So what I hate is somebody says, yeah, we do this for 10 years. Then I always answer, it's time to change it. Because I say, we would have candles, yeah, if there wouldn't have been a guy who would have tried it more than 1,000 times to get electric light. Yeah? So, and he failed and failed, but he did and did. If he was told, yeah, but the candle is light enough, we wouldn't have, and this is the same in football. Let's try new things, be open-minded, give your best, try, and this is the only thing what we demand from our players on the pitch, and yeah, and so that's, I think it's quite simple, and the same is. What I said, that everybody, and for me is always, and this is what I don't get data from this, that's why I always say is never forget the feeling, or also watching, something we play sometimes, we make a finishing exercise, and then we play youth again, the young against the old, and then we say, okay, the loser has to pay a barbecue, for example. And then there comes a barbecue, and we have it on the training ground, at the training ground, and it's after the training. And then I watch, if some, and they can leave whenever they want. So after training, they can leave. So it's not you have to stay until 3 or whatever. And then I look, okay, there's a barbecue, and do the players go, come, eat, leave? Or, and there was, for example, situations, they stayed for more than 2 hours, sitting there, talking to each other. They could have gone home. And for me, this is the best response, that we created this environment where they like to stay. Because if you don't want to be there, you go. Yeah? And so, or we had, because we offer yoga, for example, to the players for recovery. And we train at 11. This takes 90 minutes, and then they can have lunch and have their exercises afterwards in the gym. But let's say if they are in a rush, they could leave at, let's say, 1:30. If you will everything quick, or maybe 2. And then sometimes the players having at 3:30 or at 4 o'clock, they doing their yoga session. And this is, for me, always is the best. We are on the right pathway, that they like to come, that they like it to be here. And they want to improve.
Great. So shall we just open it up for other questions? I mean, many of you, kind of submitted questions before or thought about questions, but maybe new ones came up as well. So shall we just do sort of the open Q&A? If you have any additional questions that you'd like to ask, now is a good time. Yeah, who wants to start? Yeah.
Sorry. I'm a Palace season ticket holder, so I've been going for 10 years, and I'd like to say you're the best manager I've seen. But I wanted to ask, because Palace have such a important and big academy, they've produced Zaha, Moses, Wan-Bissaka. I wanted to ask you, how do you kind of develop the young players, but balance that with wins and making performances where they should be?
Yes, a good question. I think, we have very many good young talented players, and also what I experienced here, and this is, I also experienced in Germany and in Austria as well, because my oldest son was in an academy in Austria. I arrived here in February, and we had 2 games, and then we had 3 weeks break, and we went 5 days to Marbella, because the weather was not so good here, and having a good weather and being together, getting each other known. And at that time we had several injuries, and we had, I think, 5 or 6 players from the academy there, and with us. And then I didn't know them at that time. And I said, after 3-4 days training, we had a friendly game over there. And before the game, I think there were 5 or 6. And I said the same what I told you. And I said, guys, be yourself. Everybody of you is here because he has a talent, he has a quality. I said, the first 5 days, you were like soldiers, you know. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And this is how they trained, you know. If I say, make 30 minutes a handstand, you make a handstand. I would like to ask me, why? And why should I make a handstand? Do I become a better football player when I do a handstand? You know, they would have done everything. And I said, come on, if you make a mistake, come on, make a mistake, and no problem. And it's the same, I had it in Austria, with a friendly game in an international break, and I had a 17-year-old from the academy, a left fullback. And I watched the game. After the game, I asked him, how do you think you played? I think I really played well. He answered, I said, why? I didn't make any mistake. I said, yes, I agree, but 9 of 10 balls you passed back. I could have done this. I would have appreciated if you make 5, 6, 7 mistakes, but if you would have tried. You never tried to attack and show me why you are in our academy, because you avoided any risk. Yes, you didn't make a mistake, but making no mistake doesn't mean that I perform well. And I think this is sometimes the mindset to avoid mistakes. Yeah? But I would like, hey, take a risk. Yeah? Go. If somebody tells you, show what you can, and you just do what, hopefully everything is okay. No, but if you want to achieve something extraordinary, you have to show something extraordinary. Yeah? And this, I think, is one of the steps they have to go, that they are not worried about making mistakes. And then, it's at the end, it's always up to everybody to make the best from his career.
Some more questions in the front. Yeah.
Hello. So in your career, must have been a lot of times where your team was like the underdogs and then the other team was favorites, such as when you won in Liverpool 1-0 and against Barcelona as well with Eintracht. So what do you do? Do you do anything differently? Like, what do you do to prepare it to a game where you're an underdog? Like, what's the most important thing that you do differently where the other team is seen as the favorites and you're seen as the underdogs? So like, what do you do to prepare for that?
First of all, this also is my mindset. You can just achieve what you are believing in. Yeah? So, and then if we go and we didn't win for 6 games going to Liverpool, and then I said, and for me it's the same. If I always tell them, express yourself. I said, okay, you always can lose in sports. You don't know what happens. But I said, when we meet the next day, and we look into our eyes, we say, hey, we did it our way. Okay, the opposite team was better. Well done. But I never want, and I had this, and this is an experience. I was player for 19 years, and I lost many games. And very often, the next day, I thought, come on, why didn't you play with more courage? Why didn't you believe in you could win there? And we always lost. Yeah? And I thought, I don't want this anymore. This is a shit feeling the next day. Yeah? And this is that I always say, hey, we do it our way, and don't be concerned about losing. Don't be concerned about the opposite team. And of course, let's say it's a little bit, but how it's easy to say, I believe in yourself. And then we try in the preparation, when, for example, when we played with Frankfurt Barcelona. So first of all, there was the draw. We were all looking with a meeting room, looking like a cinema. And we watched the draw, and everybody was hoping for Barcelona. And then, wow, it was Barcelona. Wow, wow, wow. And they were running out. And I said, hey, come in, because now the next game will be our opponent in the next round. So I really believed that we could do it. And then in preparing, the analysts showed me many clips. And because the 16 games before we played them, they won 14 and had 2 draws. And they won 4-0 at Real Madrid. And I said, if we show them how good they can play, so we don't show them. Everybody knows that this is a good team. We show them, I want to see all the goals they conceded, all the chances the opposite team created. We show them what fits, how we play. Yeah, I can't show them how Real Madrid is playing because we are not Real Madrid, but for example, we were good in transition, what fits to us, and then we say to them, hey guys, if we do it in our way, we will get these chances, this. Here they are vulnerable. Let's say maybe a little bit of manipulation, let's say it like this, but in a positive way, because, and it's the same, if you always see, oh, he's so big, I have never a chance. Let's say you are a boxer, yeah, and he's taller than you, and you say, shit, I never come in. Okay, then, but there is some weakness. Yeah? So then it's just to find the weakness. Maybe you have to go more into infight, so I don't know, I'm not really good in boxing. But there is a solution. It's the same. If you always see the problem, you don't see the solution. And I always tell my analysts, look for the weaknesses of the opposite team. Look for the chances we have. Yeah? Look for what fits to us, that what we can show the players that they get this belief. Yeah? And so this is what we always try to do when we play, let's say, better teams. And on the other side, let's say if we play maybe weaker teams, or we think, then it's maybe the opposite way, show what they're really doing well, that you don't think, oh, it's an easy game, or you always have to respect.
There were some questions here, I think.
Every manager should find the balance between the owners of the club and your own self.
Okay. Many of our owners there in the USA, so I don't see them quite often, but it's, I always meet the chairman, I talked to him today, and this is, what I really appreciate here in Crystal Palace is, it's a very small structure, but it's the same, it's I think the same. For me personally, makes no difference if I'm talking to our chairman or to our owners, let's say my bosses, or if I talk to the kit manager, it's the same. They're all human. Yeah? So I'm always honest to them, and it's because we all want the same. We all want to be successful with Crystal Palace, and then it is to find but it's for me. It's I tell them what I'm believing in. Let's say upwards, but also downwards. So I don't care about this. It's the same. What I tell the players, I want to be Oliver Glasner. I don't want to be somebody else. If I talk to the owners, to be telling them what they want to hear. Never. And for example, when I worked at Red Bull Salzburg, we were part of Red Bull company, and I don't know if there was Dietrich Mateschitz. He died 2 years ago, but he was one of the big owners. I don't know if you know him from Red Bull. And after being, I told you I was in the office for 6 months, and as a sporting coordinator. At that time, it was everybody just was in the company, in the club. Everybody was looking for his own profit. It was no team spirit in the whole company. For example, we had a meeting, and then we said, okay, let's do it in that way. And it was clear as soon as we left the room, he did this, he did this, he did this, he did this. Just what was best for him. And I went then. I said, okay. I had a 2.5 years contract, and I said, this is not how I don't know, I'm working 60, 80 hours a week, but I don't want to work like this. You can't trust anybody, and but I want to have a meeting with Mr. Mateschitz, and I want to explain it to him, and then I
Resign.
I resigned. I quit my job. It was clear for me. I told my CEO I will quit, but before I go to the owner. Yeah. And I got a 30 minutes time, because he always said, and at the end, it started, I told him, he said, he said, why are you here? I said, I would like to tell you, or he said, you are here because the CEO wanted you as an advisor in sports. And I said, I don't care why you hired me. I tell you why I went to Red Bull. And from a 30 minutes time, it was 90 minutes. Yeah? And I told him, you can't be successful, and he spent a lot of money at that time. You can't be successful if you have your biggest enemy in your own company. Yeah? If you don't go the same pathway, and it started, and really from 30 minutes to 90 minutes. Because for me, I already quit my job in my mind. And then he said, there will be a new start in summer, new CEO, new sporting director, everything will be new. If I want, I can be part of it, and if not, it's okay for him. And I said, okay, I see who is coming, and then if it's okay for me, I stay. So all of my friends, and even my wife, said, Oliver, you're crazy, you have 2 more years contract, why you quit? And it was a lot of fun. I said, no, I don't want to work like this. It's just, I can't go there being with all my passion, I can't do it. Yeah? And then it's for me, it's just, and if I can't do it, you can't get, what every company or every club who hires me deserves is the best Oliver Glasner. They know they always get 100%. It doesn't mean that's always good, yeah? But they always get 100%. And this is what they can demand. And if I can't do this, I leave. Because I think then it's unfair for them, and I don't want this, it's the same. I just can't. I go home then, and tomorrow at 7:45, I go to the training ground with a smile. Yeah? I really like it. And if there is a moment I don't like it, I know it's the wrong place. And therefore I need to be honest. And I don't care if it's the owner, or I can never joke with my owners, I can never joke with my kid manager, where it's the same.
We were basically out of time, but maybe there's one more question that I think there was one more.
Hi, so first of all, thank you for being here and taking the time to talk to us. My question is basically, especially in the Premier League, with so many clubs being so much more financially vast, let's say, than a lot of their competition, thinking more towards the top of the table especially. How does a club like Crystal Palace maintain its competitiveness in relation to teams with, let's say, more financial capabilities? And how do you as a manager, both on and off the pitch, how do you influence players that both you want to bring to the club or you want to stay at the club? How do you influence them both on and off the pitch to convince them that Crystal Palace is the right place for them?
Yeah, first of all, a good question is, this is what we're always talking about, is how can we, because when you look at the table, let's say the last 10 years, it's a table of money. To be honest, maybe you can have 2 or 3 places up or down if something happens, but at the end, or most of the time, it's about the money. But if you can achieve more, then maybe you could, and this is what I'm believing in, it's the team. Yeah? If you work as a team, let's say, if you want to be better than any individual, you have to be a team. Yeah? Because then, let's say your weakness is his strength, and when you work together, you are better. Yeah? And this is when we have 20, yeah, who bring in their strengths, their qualities, in a common way of playing, then we can achieve more than it's maybe possible with just the individuals. And the second thing is, and therefore, is the recruitment is very important, because we need team players. Yeah? And it's really tough, sometimes maybe impossible, to change a big ego to a team player. It can, yeah, and it's also important to have some egos, yeah, but it can't be that the ego is higher or he thinks he's better or higher than the team. And this is important in recruitment. And on the other side is the same, what you said, it's the most important thing is that every player believes that Crystal Palace is the right place in his stage of his career. If a player thinks he's much better than Crystal Palace, then it's time for him to leave. And on the opposite, if a player thinks, oh, I can't play this level, then it's time also either to leave or to loan him, yeah, to get this. It's the same when you're working in a company and you think, hey, why? What I'm doing here? It's just, you can't. Then it's time to find a different company. And this is if we want to keep a player, we show him why we believe, or why I believe, Crystal Palace is the right club in his stage of the career. And when he agrees, he will stay. If not, he will leave.
Thank you.
Okay, great. I think we're basically out of time, so we went already a little bit over. But I think thank you very much for taking the time and for kind of sharing your experiences and your insights. And I'm sure there were lots of things that you can sort of take with you for your career and for your life, some good lessons as well. Thank you obviously for your time and for the events team to put everything together, and for the Crystal Palace team as well to support this as well. And we have a very small small gift as well for you. That was organized by the events team as well. So we expect this obviously to you to wear this at the next game. So let's maybe just with a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir. Oh. Thank you.